DerbyNation.tv is your one-stop shop for your Demolition Derby pay-per-view needs. With a schedule like no other, you can catch all the shows you want to watch at the touch of a button from the comfort of your living room without leaving your house. But pay-per-view derbies aren't the only thing that they can get you. You can also carry a monthly subscription to watch the ever-growing Derby Builds, where you get all the behind-the-scenes action on different build processes with the Derby Builds team, including team show cars and even some national-level youth builds.
And if you can't make it to that big show in person, go ahead, host that shop watch party, and let DerbyNation.tv bring excitement of Demolition Derby action straight to your shop live on your TV. Since Justin has been on board with us at Hard Nose, we have figured out how much Broadhead Decals means to the sport of Demolition Derby. His great quality parts are seen from coast to coast and everywhere in between.
But he can do more than just Derby products. Your everyday business may need some pep in its step with new banners or stickers. And just give him an idea and let him run with it. Whether it's business related or just want to look badass in the winner circle, let Broadhead Decals work for you.
We do. Ladies and gentlemen, Hard Nose Derby Podcast. This is a change of pace.
A little bit change of pace. We're drinking coffee.
So that means it's not. It's 7:30.
Yes, it's early 30 on Saturday morning. We hit on.
Didn't mind cutting my evening short.
It was a
to
kid's
record
birthday party,
this.
bitch. You can't get turned up that much for a kid's birthday party.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, unless you're shooting people with horse tranquilizers and shit, and then your work threw us a curveball. We apologize. We had the shortest episode we have ever done. Ever.
And I tried, guys. I did. I tried.
But it was an episode.
I did it as good as I could while I was driving, and then I lost service.
Yep. Oh, that's what happens when you're down in the hole in St. Louis, where you can be on 70 and not have service.
True that. But Osama bin Laden could send videos from a cave in Afghanistan. I can't talk to you
While FaceTiming.
102 miles from you.
Oh,
thanks a lot, Obama.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
Freedom Hall did not disappoint.
No, I had a blast, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are talking negative about it. We've had this discussion a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're still talking about it.
Still talking about it. So what's that mean?
It was a relevant show.
Yes. Very, very relevant. It's the only part I don't like, a lot of those guys we don't know.
Right.
The mini car guys, the van people, we don't know them. Now you're talking top several street stock and old school. Yeah, we know those guys.
Right.
But that's like how you and I have talked. That's where Robbie, when he opened that up, he got those other 10 people that we didn't know to give him or her that shot at showing the world what the fuck they can do in a vehicle.
Right. And it was just the atmosphere down there was cool as shit. The venue's badass.
Some bitch could have warmed up a little bit. I had pants on. Boys and girls, you know kind of how chilly it is if you've ever seen me wear pants. I had them on.
And it wasn't that cold.
Windy bitch.
I mean, windy. I'm pretty sure the curtains were blowing around our hotel room. And we were at a nice-ass hotel.
Yes. Crown Plaza. Right next to the facility. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, because remember we drank a little bit of that moonshine and whatnot, and I drove us back to the hotel.
Because we was there in like 2 minutes.
Man, we were 14 miles away.
So you said, is that Robbie in front of us? Yes. Okay, just making sure.
Well, I mean, and it was. The venue right there, there's a badass drive that goes all the way around that bitch.
Yep.
My wife would have been on cloud 9 down there. Probably wouldn't have seen her all weekend because they were having livestock shows there.
Cattle show. See all these little pretty big old heifers and shit going to the stands.
I know I had to keep Derek pulled back in the truck. I was like, no, easy, easy.
Wrong heifer, fool. Wrong heifers.
But no, we get there. We rolled into town about 10 o'clock Friday night.
Because of time change.
Yes. I picked Derek up from work 3 o'clock and put that bitch in the wind.
There was some of that too. On Friday night too. There was plenty of goddamn wind.
Yes. So we haul ass down there, pull in, not really knowing what to expect. We had seen a couple posts on Facebook. We actually watched a lot of Carnage on the way down there. I didn't. Derek did. I was just listening. I keep my eyes on the road.
Okay.
So we pull in and I'm like, where in the fuck do we need to be at? Because it says Freedom Hall all the way around that bitch.
Yep.
And Derek's like, as soon as I see where that awning, he said, I'll know because I see where they were inspecting. I was like, all right. So we keep rolling around there. We get around the corner and I'm like, okay, I think we're here because there was cars
Everywhere.
Well,
Everywhere.
There was what, 55 or 60 cars.
That got through tech.
And there was way more than that in the parking lot.
Yes. So, the guys that went through tech, they went ahead and they got their spots. And the people who were too late for the tech, for the early tech, in quotations, they just they unloaded their shit, parked it, got all set up, and they was good to go. They didn't have to just mess with that shit on Saturday morning.
No, not at all. And Derek on the way down there, he's like, man, somebody will have beer. Just wait. So, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So I pulled into this gas station. They sell 30 racks of Miller Lite.
Cheap.
Yeah, 25 bucks for 30 rack.
Yep.
I'll play that. I'll play those odds every time. So we do that. Whip in there. I grab a beer and we start walking toward the track, and we're walking down the tunnel.
And the shit talking starts immediately. We could hear a very familiar voice, and I look up, and Brian Wood is on the left side of the track entrance, and Dustin Woods is on the right side.
Drinking.
And they was both enjoying themselves with some beverages. And Stephen and I, who a lot of people have caught on and knows, when you around as much horsepower and stuff as we've been around pretty much for the last 20 plus years, we're kind of fucking deaf.
I am, and not the heavy equipment and shit that I'm at. You might as well. Please do not think I'm being rude.
I can't hear
If
you,
I walk by
motherfucker.
you got to throw some sign language at me.
Hey! So Brian is already talking shit.
Oh yeah,
Walking down the tunnel.
which I heard him.
I heard him, but I couldn't hear.
I could hear him.
I heard him, but I couldn't define what it was. And they just started it.
Oh yeah, which was awesome because hell, Robbie come up, which I hadn't got to see him since Bristol, and hell, it'd have been longer than that for you.
No, I saw him at South Dakota.
Oh, that's right. Yep. So I mean, I hadn't seen him since Bristol. We talked. He's like, "Hey guys, come here, check this shit out." And the MWFA guys were down there doing their thing.
Yep.
Like they had their stuff kind of set up on the track and was painting and
painted the whole fucking track, the walls, the sour is a blast. Okay, anybody who's partied with Jason, been around Jason and his guys, he's a good time, but I think he gets enough credit for what he does, but he still doesn't get enough credit for what he does.
Oh, 100%.
The end product of it.
Well, what's badass is I love seeing that old school shit come back out. You're talking that 70s.
Yep.
Wouldn't you say that hard 70s, 80s era?
The hippie era.
Yeah, of just, and not so much even the hippie shit. Just
the hippie era for defining.
Dude, art.
Yes.
Like this, whenever somebody says street art,
Yep.
that right there is what I think of.
Yep.
Tagged up, just badass graffiti. And I love to see it come back.
Yeah.
And what has it been the last 4 years? Dude, we've seen paint lie.
Oh, my, yes.
You know, because it was the era door wraps there for, well, what year did Rob win the point series? Because that was like
15.
the year that shit was,
15.
everybody was running wraps.
Yep.
And that's when I was like, man, I want wraps and stuff. And then I'm like,
I want paint.
I don't even want to fuck with any of it. Just throw the roof sign on this bitch.
As long as there's a number, it's all that matters.
I actually, the roof sign thing to me, we've talked about this. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you call somebody up, tell them what you want on that bitch. They send it to you. You don't have to worry about fucking with painting your doors. You don't have to do any of that shit.
No. Just bolt
Two
that
bolts.
bitch. Just bolt that bitch to your halo. Call it good.
Or if you're like me and
bolt
you
it
run
through
my
your
old one, nope, I will fucking tack that bitch on top of my car. Don't think that roof sign ain't been tacked on top of that car a couple times. Hell, one time it was full blown welded. I just left the fucking thing on the cage. We just moved the halo to the
I was
next
going to say,
car.
just move the halo to the next car. Don't
Yes,
even worry
sir.
about it. But that place, there was energy as soon as you walked into it. How many people was in the stadium while we were there? A
I don't know.
dozen?
Yeah, they just,
15?
But dude, the echo in there
Yep.
was which I've been there before. Tractor pulls. The place is badass.
Look up and this big ass scoreboard is hanging from the ceiling and shit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is badass.
Well, and let's talk about the seating on it. You know, we've been to a lot of big venues,
Oh, yeah.
and not talking shit here. I'm just saying that we've been places.
Yes.
We've seen things.
Yep.
The seating in that place, dude, they have got you so tight in that bitch, and you can get some motherfuckers in there.
Yep. Not so much if you're big fellas, because the seats that Robbie initially gave us tickets for was in the middle of the track, front level, front row. We don't fit, bro.
Well, and it's not even that. Thank you, Robbie,
oh, yeah.
for putting us in the mix.
Yeah.
I was too close to get my video.
Yeah.
I shit you not.
Yeah. When we were going to be looking like a fucking robot. Left, right.
Well, I didn't
Right.
want to be disrespectful to the people next to me.
Yep.
So we got up and we were going to go up top.
Yep.
You know, where there was some open seats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That way we were out of the way. Well, we were walking up and these guys were like, right here, you all have these seats.
Which were box seat outer seats.
Yes.
The glass behind us was for the executive suites.
Right.
I did rest my head on that glass and took me a little siesta in there, if that tells you how shitty I felt.
Yeah. Yeah. But the seating itself was badass.
Mm-hmm.
I was all the way around the track and never found a spot where you couldn't see what was going on.
No.
Which I know that was never a concern. We're trying to be informative.
Speaking of the track, you said a couple episodes ago, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to walk that. You said, I want to walk on that track.
Yes.
Chris DeFlorian is a bad man.
We talked about this. We touched on this last week
Yep.
in our little bit of talking we got to do. It's almost like whenever we were out in Utah.
Different but same.
Well, no, I'm talking about the dirt. Whenever these guys are talking about this dirt, that is the baseline of your event.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, like, this
yeah.
is, and I think it gets overlooked. I mean, and everybody that needs to know knows who he is.
Yep.
But I think that shit gets overlooked. I'm going to give him a little bit more praise, whether that be because I'm in dirt myself or what. But we get there, and I watch him pull a 1-ton dually with a gooseneck, triple axle gooseneck,
40-footer.
out on this trailer or out on this track for the band.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that knows a 1-ton with factory wheels, factory tires, they're on skinnies.
And let's just say that when they pulled it in, it was a 90-degree turn
Yes.
when they
Because they
leveled it
jackknifed
for
the
the
trailer
band. Yes.
to put it at the end of the track. I watched this. This was going to be my 100% judgment on this track as soon as I seen it come down the tunnel. They jackknifed this trailer and dirt never moved.
Mm-hmm.
It wrinkled,
Yep.
but never pulled. There was never a clod. the tire didn't dig into it. It was almost like the truck and trailer slid on top of it, and I was like, oh, fuck.
And what killed me, they never put water on it that we saw.
I was watching. I mean,
you know, so if the track was built and if they did water in there, that's one thing. But once that son of a bitch was painted, they never put water on it. And it never got dusty. We saw one guy. He was hung up, and you saw him cut down the very last, I think it's the old school.
Yeah, and I watched where that happened at.
But not hung up.
Right.
Just, he was hung up in the front.
Well, what I watched happen there was he had been pushed sideways and he was on solids.
Yep.
Whenever he was pushed sideways, I watched it roll a rimmed shape, whole outline of dirt up out of this hole. And then the next car that come in and hit him, I watched it push it back in and it never come back out. And like I said, I'm standing at the end of the track with Chris. And he's going, I think I could have done better.
Talking to Chris at South Dakota and then again at Freedom Hall, Chris is a perfectionist. Would you agree?
He is a finisher.
But what I mean by perfectionist, he expects what the end result and end product needs to be. And if it's not exactly up to his spec or his code in his brain, that's when he says, I think I could have done better. What the fuck? Chris, what could you have done better?
Well, and him and I stood there and talked. The only thing that I seen that would have played a factor in his job is if the track was bigger. Because it wouldn't have been doing what it was doing had the track been just a touch bigger. And mainly because you were seeing those flat tires, and that's what was digging your holes. I mean, no disrespect when I say this. The guys that were on the skid loaders were not dirt guys. I put that in quotation.
Correct.
Just because I watched how they were trying to fix the track. If you could have put 3 Chris's out there.
Because you only had one Chris.
Right.
On a skid loader.
And this is going to be a word of wise for anybody out there, and I will stand on this forever. I will fist fight you if I see you. Whenever you are trying to fix a track, pull up somewhere, grab you a full bucket of dirt before you go out there.
Backside of the wall, something.
Push with a loaded bucket of dirt. If you go around the track, it will fill the holes in front of you.
Yep. And
it may not be perfect. Little Chris,
little Chris flip,
dirt flip. I said I saw that.
Damn it!
I said we ain't grading rock out here, boy. But the track killer. That was one of the first questions I actually got asked whenever I got down to the track. Robbie said, "What do you think?" I said, "I think it's going to be hard on drivetrains." I said, I think that trailing arms are going to be hurt, and I think that front suspension is going to be fucked up. I was wrong because there was enough people on the track that you couldn't get that one end to the other and crank that.
Correct.
And lay that wheel over.
Yep.
Now, did get to see some shit that was really hard on rear suspension.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That 1+1 car, I still am not 100% who that was in the old school class. It's the one that I posted on our page that said tough drive shaft.
Yeah.
It was broke completely loose. And every time he would take off forward, the pinion brake would touch the dirt.
Yes.
And he wheeled around for 15 minutes that.
Yeah.
You know, we got to see, dude, just complete and total junk made down there.
They fucked some shit up.
Oh, big time.
And
hey,
really,
poor Andrew, I'm trying to clean this episode up a little bit for him.
Well, I said that for you. The deal of it is that what we like and doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like it. This is a show that has, one, we supported it because we will support Robbie.
Regardless of what your opinion is of that guy,
Correct.
his drive for the sport is there.
Bingo. So, we didn't know a lot of those guys. Some of them we knew.
Got to meet some badass
Yep.
dudes.
We never saw a driver's list. And that's something that we are usually one of the first ones to get. We didn't get that.
No.
We didn't get it. We saw it when everybody else saw it. And then you're going through, looking at tech, and you're seeing 00, and you're seeing 14, and you're seeing 15, and you're seeing 27, and you're seeing T24. You're like, we got us a little something here, boys and girls. And it was. It's not crucifixion either, guys. And I'm going to say this. 2026, Twisted Metal Motorsports, the only thing that I foresee that needs to happen, which you and I have talked about it, you got to utilize as much space as you can for a bigger track.
Right.
We were kind of talking on Sunday, even if you went 5 extra foot sideways, 10 foot each end, you still got room, but you're giving them another X amount of square footage to work with.
Robbie knows. I mean, he's smart enough to know. He knows that there was too many on the track. There was too many, but there wasn't too many, if that makes sense.
They fit them on there.
They ran.
Yes.
We got to see some hits. Do I think we could have got to see some bigger hits?
Yes.
100%.
The mowers got the same amount of track that the old school class did. And guys, and we've got some more video footage that we're going to upload. It's got to be edited first, but you will see dudes hitting, and Robbie called it. He said, I think we're going to see some helmet-to-helmet hits.
Yeah.
And there was that.
You all have to bear with me on the editing thing. I'm learning. We do not have anybody that does that for our Facebook page. That is, that's me.
Yep.
And if you know me, I'm not real
tech savvy.
Yeah.
Tech savvy.
Yeah. I know that everybody, they love hating somebody. Well, and, last week was Robbie's week.
Yes.
That's fine. What did I tell him before we left Kentucky?
Do not look at social media. Do not pay attention to Facebook. You're always going to have haters. No matter what you do, you're always going to have haters. Look past that shit. Move on to the next one.
Yes. Because Robbie he's passionate about his stuff. Way more so than I ever was. I had a little more of that, I don't care.
Yes.
That don't give a shit, kind of attitude whenever it come to that stuff. But Robbie, he really does care about what's going on out there. And I'm going to touch back on this. I know we touched on it last week, and I'm the one that kind of keeps bringing it up and keeps moving forward with this thing. The Enforcer car. You as a driver may not like that. That's fine.
But you know what you're signing up for. Yes.
Well, and I'm not even worried about that. Do you want this sport to grow? Everybody does.
If
you should have heard the crowd.
Yes. As soon as he cracked that 4.6 open.
Stop it. I wasn't going to talk about that.
I had to do it just a little rib poke.
Blasphemy.
As soon as that bitch cracked open, the crowd went absolutely batshit.
Oh. Nobody's talking about that.
No. But they're talking about, a guy got hit, and then the guy retaliated and hit the Enforcer car. That's what they're talking about. I mean, even back in the day, wrestling, did anybody ever talk about the good guys or the heels backstabbing somebody?
Oh, yeah. That's why I told, or everybody I've talked to, I'm like, keep talking about it.
Yes.
Because for 2 weeks straight now, that Freedom Hall has been relevant.
The same weekend as Capital Carnage.
Yeah.
Don't know if that will happen in 26 because now they have a year to plan.
Well, and I don't foresee that. Robbie, he won't try to step on nobody. I promise you that.
Correct.
Now let's get into it. Let's get into actual Derby action. So these vans, the MWFA class comes out.
Slash vans.
Vans.
Was there 1-2 sedans maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Not very many.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
a little truck or something.
There's a Durango in there. Holy hell. It was the first time that I had ever seen it where whenever it got down to the final 3, one dude was trapped on one end of the track.
Yep. He was hosed.
He did it to himself.
Yep.
Whenever he put the car out, he shut the gate.
Yep.
And boy, did he try to get back through that gate.
He did.
And he finally got through it.
Finally. What I think, because there was one official I could see. I couldn't tell who it was. He was he was holding up the wrist, which we saw in the driver's meeting. The guys were like, hey, we're going to start looking at our wrists, and that means your time's almost ended. He was trying so hard. He was smoking dead cars trying to get through that hole.
Well, and what was crazy is the other drivers in the cars that was blocking him were like, come on.
Yes. Come this direction. And they let it go through. That's that you're not going to deface somebody over 2 or 3 seconds when the dude is trying to get there.
Well, and I look back on it, I don't think he was out of time yet.
I don't either.
Because, like, the first 2 hits that a lot of people were calling a dead car, that guy was not timed out yet.
Nope. He still has to
so
stick
every
up.
time he was restarting his clock.
Mm-hmm.
This is the stuff that makes promoters either look good or look bad.
Yeah.
I look for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was looking at the other end of the track and then turned back around, he's like, well, this guy's been hitting that same car for 6 winners. Well, he hasn't.
He hasn't.
Yeah. And they're like, well, it took him 2 minutes to go through there. I'm like, yeah, it did take him 2 minutes to go through there, but he's resetting his clock for the first minute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got 2 minutes to do that.
Yep. They don't. That's that person usually outside of the circle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, the people outside of that circle, they're pretty damn vocal about stuff.
Right.
and it happens.
It is what it is. We wouldn't have anything to talk about if it wasn't for those people.
But for an MWFA show, that was a really good show, not seeing, some Tahoes and some
right.
Lincolns and shit that we're used to seeing. But these dudes came to play.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. So then we jump into what do we go
Street stocks.
Yeah, the street stocks.
Which we've said 100 times, not our street stocks.
Right.
Different.
But,
not even same, but different. Different.
But as we were talking in the lobby of the hotel on Friday night, these are hard-ass stock drivetrain cars.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it.
It's kind of like the opposite of Austin Johnson's number 9 class. Complete opposite.
Yes.
Where Austin gives you good drivetrain, drive shaft, rear ends, can't do a whole lot to the car. But Robbie's is the complete opposite. No, you're using factory shit drivetrain, but we're going to give you a little bit to do to the car to make the car last. He said that in front of us on Friday. Was me and you and Brian Wood to my left and Joe Linky to my right and Toby Hiley standing next to you with Mike Tix.
Right.
Robbie he doesn't want you to junk your shit in one show.
Right.
Especially with the cost of the cars, what it's costing you now. I don't think anybody'd give a shit if it was a $300 car anymore. Now it's a $1,300 car.
Right. It's so out of my wheelhouse or my build style that
it's almost a light weld build. When you really dig into the rules, it's damn close to a light weld build without any protectors.
Right.
And all that.
The tilting and stuff. I don't.
It's weird. It's weird, and
it's a strange
correct
to my world,
because it was different. Bristol was different than that.
Oh yeah,
and that was still yours was the stock elite. I'm sorry, it wasn't the actual street stock. But what we saw at Ohio, King of Ohio, in that street stock class, we were in the tech line looking, and in that tech line looking at those cars under them, with the hoods off, all of it, and that's a different build than what was at Bristol, and that's a different build than what was at Freedom Hall.
It was real close to what was at Bristol.
Was it
that Ohio street stock? And I think why everything was so much different in Kentucky is their build.
Is that the Kentucky build, or is that the Twisted Metal Motorsports build?
And those are the guys that you had running down there. You know, they were guys that run for Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. Like I said, it's just a weird build for me.
Correct. Like we spoke over the phone last week, you know, Dale had the unfortunate event. He didn't get to run.
Right.
So, of course, when Dale makes his appreciation post for everybody, what'd Justin do? Justin Broadhead. Now you've got a Utah car.
Right.
That's when Dale went into it, and he's like, you know, I'm going to have to look at those rules to see what I'm going to have to do, whether it's, you know, running the old school wire class, which you can get in about anywhere.
Right.
But we know he's not going to take that trip to Heber to do that. But I picked up what you were throwing down after Bristol, because first thing you said is my car's bent so many places. I've got to put X amount of plates on there, but it's not a car that you want to be able to move up to a hot stock or a street stock.
Right.
I mean, that's just not feasible.
No.
Unless you want to get your shit completely junked in about 6 seconds.
Right. And I mean, the Fords, you're going to have more of an opportunity to do that with. This is not a metric GM class, although a metric GM did win Bristol.
Yes.
That it is not a metric GM class.
No. They held their own. At Kentucky, there was a couple. You know, I think there was like a metric caddy and then like a Roadmaster sedan. And you lost 5 on it because of it.
Right.
But I think the reason
it wasn't a power plant issue.
I think the reason you did that is because you did see those metrics in Bristol do what they did, but this build being actually so much more to the car itself.
Right.
I don't think you had that in your head. And we didn't go through the tech. I mean, we walked through the tech, but we weren't getting in their way. There was 18 people around every lift, and we were staying out of the way.
But anyway, back to, you know, I want to fall back, since you mentioned the tech line, the amount of social media presence that was there. You know, we touched on this a little bit in that short snippet we did last week. We got to meet some badass dudes.
Mafia TV, Adrenaline Junkies,
Critter.
all for him racing, Critter.
Yeah. It was funny as shit though.
Demo 10 videos.
Yeah. But it was funny as shit because people realized that what we are on here is who we actually are.
Yes. That's what Brian and I we kind of divided and conquered a little bit on Friday night. You know, I talk with Brian more than I do Dustin. And I think you talk with Dustin more than you do Brian.
Well, and especially like while we were down there, that was just kind of how
it worked.
The seas parted.
Correct.
Down there.
And Brian will still tell us, you know, to my face, you guys tell it how it is. You don't hold back.
And we talk about the shit that is going on.
Correct. And if that's our niche, I guess we've always said the first 10 episodes that we had, that wasn't us. It was
scripted.
Not even really scripted, But when you have to change your whole mentality of how you want to talk about something, you're not being true to yourself. So you guys are actually not getting what you should be out of those first 10. So when we revamped this thing, me and you sit down and we was like, we can't do that.
Right.
Let's be ourselves. That's when the F-bombs came out a little bit more. That's when the other stuff came out. But that is who we
got
are.
To start drinking.
Yes.
Every once in a while.
I got to crack open.
And we really got to show the guys that were down there, that actually knew who we were and was talking to us and stuff. And I had a couple of them that were like, holy shit, it really is what it looks to be on the podcast. Mm-hmm. You're the one that is more of the outgoing, running off and no telling where I'm going to be.
Oh, I need a leash on this bitch half the time. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to start strapping you up with that backpack leash.
And people are like, holy shit. Like, yeah, Derek is more, straightforward. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of everywhere. Like, yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, that's just our personality. How many times have you said AD squirrel? And I'm just not built that way.
No, Derek's talking like...
That's why we coexist so well.
Uh-huh. My fun meter goes higher than his.
It does. I'm a lot older than him. That's why. Because my fun meter was way up there for a long time.
But...
Like Scroyo. Scroyo!
Yeah.
People, if you don't know him, look his shit up on TikTok. He's on YouTube.
He is pretty funny.
The Sunfire supercar, whatever. But that's another dude. Made his name through social media. Mm-hmm. But he's just like the rest of us. Hell, he was standing in there drinking all the beers Friday night, and everybody was just shooting the shit and catching up.
He actually messaged me whenever we got back and asked if I was going to be at Wicked, and I was like, I doubt it, just with work and everything. And he's like, well, if you do show up, maybe we can fill my cooler up this time.
It's not a bad drive. It's only about 5:15 or so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's even going to be feasible for me to do shit for a minute.
For a minute.
Because I get to go to days and then nights, and it's just... it's fun.
It's not fun. No, it's not.
Anyway, back to the show. Lawnmowers. I've never seen so many lawnmowers in one spot. Ever.
I've never seen so many lawnmowers on their side in one spot. But they got the entire track.
They had all the real estate.
It was hauling so much ass. You're like, somebody's gonna die.
That's what I told him. I said somebody will leave here in an ambulance.
And they weren't. Nobody did, which was extraordinary.
It just wow. I still toward the end of it, I was like, I'm done with this. But like there was a couple hits that I was like, oh, like I seen it coming.
Yep.
Like that's gonna hurt.
Yep. Dong!
Oh, dude. And they don't bend or, it's ridiculous.
But they're not the mod mowers. They're not the ones that look all stupid and retarded. These things have some bracing on the side for their legs and stuff like that, and some even had it around their back. But they were hitting... I don't know how fast they were going, but there were some of those hits. Oh.
I will still stand on what I said. I will never get on one of those.
No.
Well, first off, my dumbass reaction, whenever I got turned over, would be to try to catch myself.
Yes. You can't stick your leg out because your legs are kind of encased.
Right.
But you could damn sure stick your arm out.
Yeah, and then broken arm.
Break your wrist, and then somebody run over my arm and break it the opposite way.
Yeah,
dislocate a shoulder and elbow. Not happening.
Okay, then we slide into the SUV and vans.
A lot of vans. One more time. Very few SUVs. Female.
Yeah.
The bougie bandit.
Yes.
I don't know her name, but you just happen to be walking through, as we just spoke, where you just kind of take off.
Uh-huh.
And next thing I know, this van pulls out and it's got some hard-nosed shit on it. And I was like, Steven done been tagging. Guess what? She won it.
Yeah.
And her whole group was sitting right next to us, just 5 seats over, a couple rows down. And she has got a hat that says Bougie AF on the side.
Uh-huh.
So you're kind of like, okay, yep, that's her.
Uh-huh.
She was laying some shots, but she didn't lay any wasted shots.
No, not at all. It's cool to watch, which we were standing in the lobby, again, talking, and I never thought that I would be discussing the geometry and build style of minivans.
Nope. Ever.
But I catch myself talking about it quite a bit.
Yep. Because they're everywhere.
They are.
They're not a niche thing anymore.
Not a show that goes by doesn't have vans there.
Mm-hmm. And now there's been enough bitching. There's promoters that are separating them.
Yeah.
Hobos are gut and goes cars, and vans and mini trucks, SUVs are on the other one.
I wasn't going to do it for the time aspect of a one-day show.
Correct. Yeah.
So, we got to watch some more hard-hitting action there. Then we had prime time at prime time.
And I think that was adjusted a little bit for time frame. Because prime time was supposed to end the show, and they actually did.
And I think for crowd's sake and everything else, he made the right move.
Yep.
The energy that you've seen with these cars pulling on the track.
Yep.
Coming down the tunnel, they were all,
you watch people just kind of start leaning forward a little bit and scooting a little forward on their seat.
Yep.
They weren't all kicked back and lounging. They were like, oh shit, here we go.
Go.
Go time.
Heat started slow, just like I knew it was going to. Everybody thinks harder cars, faster pace. They rarely start out that way.
Nope.
You do see times that it does.
Mm-hmm.
This one did not. It took them about 8 minutes, is what I would say, to get that heat started.
Yep.
And then it was on.
Then once it started, it started.
I mean, it was on. And again, just like every other show, it is clockwork. I don't have to keep talking about it, but I'm going to. Cars built from the bottom side of the rules to the top side, and you could pick them out, I mean, immediately.
Oh, yeah.
We got to see trunks blowed completely off within the first 15 minutes of the show.
Mm-hmm. Rails dumping, dragging the dirt.
That was not a new style class.
No. There was new styles running in that class.
But it was not for them.
No, it was...
That was an old iron GM class.
Yes. And we're meaning all old iron. There was some slick Impalas.
Oh, 225s.
Deuce and a quarters. Olds.
Yeah.
They had it all. And...
couple caddies.
Yep. They showed up.
I'd still like to know what the clip was on that one.
Man, I don't know, man. I
It
thought it was like
a Monty clip.
You thought it was a Monty clip, and I thought it kind of looked like a Catalina clip.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was like, do we ask him now? Fuck that. No, we're gonna be good boys today.
Oh, I will figure that out, and I will report back because that has. I've actually, it's popped around a couple times in my head. I'm like, man, what the fuck was the clip on that car? Because it was not a Cadillac clip.
No, it was not.
A Cadillac hood,
mm-hmm.
but not a Cadillac clip.
Which we have figured with Dalen, a Cadillac hood can go on anything.
Right.
How many times do you ever think you'd see a Cadillac hood on a Vic?
It worked.
Leave it at Dalen.
Those cheap ass hoods and clips and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That come down, which again, it come down to two guys that are no rookie to being at the end of a show.
Even the top five.
Yeah.
Sitting there watching the show, and if you know anything about any of those guys, that would have been your top 5.
Yeah.
Anyways, when you have some Eatons and you've got Ty Richards.
Because Ty Richards is no, this is not something new to him being at a big show.
Hell no. Hell no.
I mean, we've seen him at Blizzard Bash.
Seen him at Sturgis, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him at Spring X.
Yes.
You've seen him at Mayhem. If there's a big show, he's ran it.
Oh, yeah. That's why whenever it come down to him and Bubba, I was like, watch this. This is going to be a party.
Yep.
And I was actually down on the track at this point. I had wandered off again. So we're down there on the track, and I'm watching this play out, and nothing against Bubba. His car was running. He was running out of car.
Yes.
And he was having some trouble getting around. And every move he made, Ty was there to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
It went back and forth 2 or 3 times, but you could always see that Ty's car was moving around way better.
We talked about that on the way home on Sunday, was because I saw Ty's right rear going flat fast.
Yeah.
Like he kind of took a weird little shot, and lip guards and bead protectors, that it helped it not get off so he could still move.
Right.
But we've seen that take guys out where it just, wounded duck.
Well,
they're just going around in a circle.
Like Tommy Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was the most unlucky person when it comes to tires and steering.
Yep.
That I seen for a while.
Yes.
So we have seen that scenario played out. Ty was fortunate enough that I'd never really seen that tire slipping inside the wheel.
Correct.
So he was able to keep forward momentum. I got to watch them meet nose to nose in front of me, which Bubba's car was already starting to nose a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that caddy, or that the Ty's car, it settled in, is what it did. Whenever they met nose to nose, it did
what it was supposed to do.
It did old Iron GM stuff. Like I said, neither one of them were wanting to give up on that dogfight.
No.
And it was fun watching them because they are the ones that finished up the last 15, 17 minutes of that show. And there wasn't people like, oh, come on, make them hit, because they were hitting.
Yep. Yeah, there's that difference. And what everybody's like, oh, they're bagging. No, they're in hurt-ass cars.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything possible to not fuck up and lose the Derby because of something they did.
Right.
There's that difference.
It was a fun-ass dogfight to watch.
Yep.
JM Race Engines is a new business in north central Missouri that have you covered from top to bottom for all your engine needs. Purpose-built engines with the correct amount of clearance will get you to the end of any show, whether it's your local shows or on the national level, where you can't be let down by your equipment. With top-level professional machine work to all engines, your choice of build is totally up to you. JM Race Engines will give you the confidence to push your equipment to the max while giving you your preferred horsepower to boot. From LS builds all the way to your exotic level small blocks that your imagination can only dream of, they have you covered.
But it doesn't stop there. They are also a speed shop that carries a variety of heads, carburetors, intakes, plug wires, helmets, and other safety equipment, and the best VP fuel on the market today to take you to the top. So if you're wanting mild build to wild build, let JM Race Engines help take you there. Triple B's Tees offer custom shirts and logo designs for all your apparel and merchandise needs, offering a variety of shirts, hats, hoodies, tumblers, and koozies. Triple B's will work with you one-on-one to personalize and perfect your logo. With over 5 years in the business, 20 years in the sport, they live for Demolition Derby.
Chunk and his crew can bring your imagination to realization with zero limitations. So for all your badass tees, choose Triple B's.
But dude, let's go back into that street stock. When we said Freedom Hall did not disappoint one more time, on the reel that you shared, Jason Kinman in a stock ass car compared to what we're used to seeing Jason in compared to what he was in. I mean, that was a stock ass Lincoln with a 4.6 drivetrain. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Takes a 45 shot, as given a 45 shot, and dumped them both on their lid.
I don't know that you expect anything less from Freedom Hall.
Yeah. Before we talked, a lot of it, the last big hit that blew up social media at Freedom Hall, the track was garbage. The track was very rough. It was very loose. Both cars nosed up. Did that shit. That wasn't the same case scenario when this happened. And then
that was that bitey ass track.
Yes, and then Kinman they flip it back over. Robbie, we watched him get in the car with Jason to help get him unhooked. As it was on its side. Robbie crawls
because
out.
I could kind of see what was going on. I think Jason was going to flip it back over.
Yeah.
I don't need to get out of here. Just turn it back over.
Yep. So Robbie went in, got him unbuckled. They both crawl out, flip it over. What's he do? They look. Robbie takes a bottle of water and dumps it where the normal 4.6 has an issue of fire.
Right.
So he dumped the water. Jason jumped back in, started it up, buckled back in, and got it back on again. Most guys wouldn't have got back in. Not the shape his car was in at that point in time.
It wiped the clip plumb off that car.
It looked like I've got this little. My kid has got a little Rubik's Cube puzzle, is what I would call it, that kind of twists and makes all this little different angles and shit. That was, that was his clip right there.
Yeah. It TP'd the front of it. It was just, it was crazy.
And then sent it.
Which that was 100% his plan from the word go.
Yes, sir.
And then we finished up the nights with, the night with the compacts.
Yep.
Which I still owe one of those drivers a couple beers.
Why's that?
We made a bet on how long the old school feature would last.
I
lost it by like 7 minutes.
Was he over or under you?
He was over.
He was over
I
you?
said it was going to be done in an hour. Took just a touch over that.
He took the over. Couple beers.
Which I'm going to hold Ty to that.
If he would have just got it over 7 minutes sooner, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
So, Ty, if you happen to hear this, or if somebody listening talks to Ty, tell him he owes me 2 beers. But they went out there, and we got to see another mixed-up variety of compacts. There was some Camrys.
Lots of Camrys.
Few W bodies. I think somebody, I don't remember if we were at the track, if it was before we went back to the hotel or at the hotel, but somebody was asking those guys why they were so hard on, the Camry build down there. And their answer was way straightforward on it. We can find them.
Bingo.
No more, no less.
Yep. Yeah, you find something that's easier to find, you figure out how to build them, and then you roll with them. We've talked about it.
We did have a couple guys talking about Tauruses. Which we have seen that kind of trickling in a little bit.
Yes.
And that they're just trying it. They're trying to find something that's readily available.
Not everybody can afford $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 W body to go out and junk that piece of shit in a hobo build.
Right.
Or a stockish build.
Right.
Not a mod build. We know why. You can run them for 16 years.
Right.
And then cut it apart when it's still not bent. That's different. Still a good show.
Oh, it was a killer show. The drama was there. You not so much. Myself, I kind of thrive on that shit. I don't
makes for good television.
Yes, I don't want to push that too hard, but that does kind of add that entertainment value to an already good show. Is somebody going to catch hell over it? Yes, 100%. They're still going to talk about it. There's people that get invested in that shit.
Oh, yeah.
How many people have been hardcore followers of wrestling?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's an entertainment value to a storyline or a plot or, this or that, the squabbles on the tracks and shit. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I like how it ends up playing out.
Yeah. You're always going to have that drama factor in this because it's a bunch of people with a bunch of money and stuff fucking trying to win.
Bingo. Now, you don't usually see that when you get that guy that goes out there and says, I don't give a shit about winning. I just want to go out there, junk shit, have a good time. 95% of the time, you never see the drama out of that guy or girl.
Right. Because there was a little bit of behind the scenes shit that happened that I didn't agree with. Again, didn't have a dog in the fight. Mm-hmm. The raffle car was sitting outside. And another promoter come in and covered up Simple Solutions
that built the car
with their stickers. And then twisted it on the internet where it was, this guy doesn't support me, he's peeled my stickers off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Battle Royale.
My foot didn't touch the floor. No, I never touched the floor.
So, again, it's that entertainment factor, that well-placed drama.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like to me somebody that knows Robbie and played into Robbie's passion for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see from one side where that would look disrespectful as shit.
Oh, yeah.
I sat across from somebody that had this happen to him one time, and you were fucking fighting, man.
You are correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't build the car.
Right.
So these guys who built this raffle car and did not completely lose their shit, I commend you guys.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, because we've been in jail in Kentucky at that point in time. In Louisville, and that probably wouldn't have went over real well for us, but we'd have found out.
There was one person that if I would have had a full beer with me, I would have lobbed it.
Or half a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Why? I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know why they do it. Not all of them do it, but some of them do it, and it pisses me off, but bothers Steven a lot worse.
Wow.
I think it pulls more into his ADHD a little bit,
dude,
and it like triggers some shit.
Put whatever sticker you want on whatever. I don't give a shit. It just
when you're out, let off the throttle, please.
Fuck, man.
You're not going to blow it up. Because that's what everybody said. He was going to blow it up.
Right.
He was trying to blow it up. Those things got limiters. It's kind of hard for them to blow up because of that.
And I see it happen twice down there. And, like, I'm serious. I was to the point where I was like, I want to drag you out of the fucking car. Stop. And at least with a small block V8, I can handle that a little bit better than I can the fucking 4 or 6 cylinder.
Yep.
Anyway,
But overall, the show was killer.
10 out of 10 would go back.
Guarantee you. Robbie and Andrew, Throwdown TV, Track Shot Live, all the guys that we've already talked about, I hope they keep supporting that show because that is going to be the one on the rise. I even kind of mentioned it. I got some texts. Guys local to us are like, hey, you know, what'd you think? Because I sure would consider going down there in 26. Guys are already looking ahead for the whole next year of wanting to do it. So I think that's how good of a show it was.
That's in a slower part of the year. You know, I mean, I use that term very loosely.
There is no slow parts really anymore.
Right. But like that's
2 months?
Yeah. That right there is like my favorite time where I know that I can kind of break away. Because I don't have any birthdays through there. I don't have, you know, this, that. We're usually not working yet. This has been a little different.
Yeah. So it's not a big deal to get cut off. Hey, you just take off on a Friday morning and just roll down there, have a good time, come back on Sunday morning.
Yeah. You know, if I hadn't have had to have been at work Sunday night, like it would not have been.
No, it wouldn't have been shit.
No. But we land at 3 o'clock and then I turn around and head to St. Louis.
Take flight again. Because we were flying.
We did. I was not letting no grass grow on that bitch.
It's bad when this fool says we're actually going too fast on I-70 right here. We need to back it down while our rabbits are rolling.
Well, at one point, I would say for 2 hours, every bit of 2 hours, I run between 85 and 87 mile an hour, or 88 mile an hour.
And for 1 hour, I'm going to say 89 to 95 with rabbits in front of us.
Yes.
And when we got home, we were talking about that. My daughter's like, Dad, what do you mean in a rabbit? I said, you're too young. You've never seen dog racing on TV. She's like, okay. I was like, well, when they drop the gate, there's a rabbit that is posted on the inside of the wall that's up on top that the dogs can actually see. The rabbit takes off. The dogs chase it. She was like, I still don't get it. I was like, okay, babe, we got past. They were going faster than we were, so we ran that same speed.
Yes.
Okay, now I get it. But why do you call it a dog? I was like, oh my God. Daughter, you're the smartest dumb kid I know.
But let's put the stamp on that. I guarantee you there will be episodes where we come back and talk about some other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let's go into a little bit of the Carnage stuff.
Yep. Touched on a little bit after your service said no bueno. Got some Missouri boys brought home some cash.
Got some
on the
Missouri
compact
boys that
side.
had some terrible luck.
Yes. And then, on the other end of the spectrum, those gremlins, those little things that kind of jump up and bite you in the ass, that unexpected stupid shit that we talk about. Because one of those was, I think, a starter issue. The other one was motor wasn't running right issue. And the other one was a complete block delete.
Yes. And we heard of a couple of them that broke blocks. I would like to dig into that at some point. I want to know what was different.
Correct.
This year.
Because 2 that I know of.
Yeah.
2. And guys, there might be more than that. We don't know. We're not in everybody's circle.
Right.
But we do know that 2 said, one of them was a transmission as well.
Yeah.
That went with it. When the cars weren't that bent.
Right.
It
had to have been somewhere with pressure, the way the cradles were set up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. Something was tried differently.
Yes.
Because neither one of the guys that we're talking about were any stranger to the build style or the brand of car that they were running.
Nope. None whatsoever. We're not giving out any names,
All right.
but everybody who listens, they know who it is. like I said, I gave it up to NLR last week. The dream team go from the long road. They didn't go the long road at Bristol.
Right.
Everything they won. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they didn't have to work their fucking asses off to get to where they were at.
Well, we heard straight up on the interview that Mr. 5X had, that he knew that he was the underdog going into Bristol. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, after the odds were stacked up and the heats were going and stuff, they knew.
Yep. And I think just from what they brought.
Yeah.
Because down there, that was old iron heavy as shit in that class. We know that. Wagons, caddies, deuce and a quarters.
Oh, yeah.
Olds 98.
Yeah.
All of it. And they show up with 4 Vicks. You're sitting there, man. It's like, okay, I brought a 9mm. That son of a bitch has got a minigun on the other end of this.
Well, and I think this comes back to that comfort.
You see John. John will be in some old iron stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But his old iron stuff is that stock build.
That's what I was getting to say. He's always on the stalker side of that old iron build. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. Hell, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Markley doing Chad Markley things.
We're so used to Chad at that facility. We've said we've seen him in a Lincoln before, on that stock shit last year. But usually we're seeing old iron GM or wagon in reverse.
The shot heard around the world.
Holy God.
So we're, completely balls deep in this trip to Kentucky. Derek's got the heat playing. He's like, holy shit. And I'm navigating goat paths at this moment. And I look over and I'm like, oh, fuck, was that Chad?
Yes. That was Chad. Holy shit.
We always say the best way to stop a full track shot, meet him in the middle. He never turned out of it or nothing. It was pedal to the wood.
Yep.
And shit moved.
A lot of shit moved. We've talked about Trey's shot last year. When he 45 that old boy and his shit really moved and we saw Trey's kind of flex a little bit and then it just kind of come back. This shot didn't do that.
No.
This one was oof. But there was a lot of those. It wasn't just Chad, but like I said, when you're talking about Chad, there's certain things that you're looking for, and that isn't it. And that's not downplaying Chad's driving ability. That's not downplaying Chad's equipment. Chad's just not that guy that's going to full send the son of a bitch across the track nose to nose on a guy.
No. And Chad is 100% transparent with that.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I don't do that shit.
He said, I don't look for those nose-to-nose shots.
He saw a shot, and he committed it and took it.
Was 100% confident that he was going to come out prevailing on that shot.
And he didn't even back out.
No, because he went straight to the wall.
A lot of times we've talked about that. You got a guy that's just wide open across, but right before that hit,
the lift.
Fuck that. He never lost speed. He was gaining speed the whole way.
That was awesome for the team mix-up that we get to see there. Mm-hmm. Which we know Kitchell, my homie. Dude, I love watching that dude drive.
Mm-hmm. It's usually constant precision. And that's something that we have talked about.
Dr. Feelgood and the Dirtbags.
But here's the deal. They go out, they beat NLR in the heat. They straight up, that's how they drew it. They beat NLR. NLR goes a long way. They got however many teams, 8 teams or whatever, that went to the consolation. And they were only taking 2.
They were only taking 1.
They were, and then they adjusted to 2 to Kansas Outlaws and Team NLR off the loser side, and then looky what you got.
5X doing 5X stuff.
Eric Blom doing Eric Blom stuff.
Yeah.
Come down to them and Niner Motorsports with 3 Molmans and a Chris Williams. And then Elliott Motorsports in third. They Dr. Feelgood fourth. 448 Designs in fifth. That's a hell of a top 5. That's not the top 5 that you would think in your head as soon as you watched the heats.
Yeah,
that was going to be there.
But if you're going pound for pound on the driver's side of things, that is not an unrealistic top 4 whatsoever.
No, it's not. I mean, but with their...
I mean, to hear Prusman in there.
Correct, and a couple Oberles.
Yeah. Chad Markley, James Kitchell.
Molmans.
Them
guys.
Chris Williams. No, we don't get to cover what he runs much because you never know where he's going to be at.
Yeah.
First off, he may be running Utah.
Yep.
He may be running in South Dakota.
Yep.
You never know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to get to watch him because we remember back in the youth days.
Oh, yeah.
Of him, we got to see him, more
14, 15, 16-year-old running in Nebraska.
Right.
On the youth side, and Sam's like, hey, it's time to come up.
Yeah.
So he did, and then he just kind of took off from there. But when you're sitting there looking at that, say, top 5, I mean, we said it. There's a team that we're so used to seeing them have such good record out there in that facility, Caddy Nation, So when you're sitting there looking at all these teams,
the weekend of bad luck.
Yeah, you're sitting there looking at all these teams, and that top 5. I don't think is a top 5 that you would have picked.
No,
I'm not saying that. Probably 3 of them weren't going to be in there,
right.
But there was probably going to be 1 or 2. Team GCI with the. Well, actually, the guys that you really enjoy watching with the Gomats, because they run a lot of that Mopar shit. They run them shocker wagons. They run them Y-framers. Fuck, they could be in an M body or an R body. You never know.
Right.
So, looking at on paper.
Well, and you look at that go. Let's stop there for just a second. I want to throw this out there. That is a name that has been around literally since I have.
Probably since you were born.
Since I've been, involved in Derby.
Correct.
I've heard that name. It wasn't until later years that I finally got to meet some of those guys and watched what they built, because it's crazy the success they've had in such diverse builds. And not just cars. I'm talking...
Build styles.
Yes.
To rules.
Yes.
Stock side to...
Street stock
mods.
to mods.
Yes.
And I mean... And it always seems like if they're at a show, no matter where they end up, we always end up circling back and talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're there. Like and you're going to know they're there every time they run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's badass to watch that kind of unfold in front of you.
Yeah.
I love seeing the mix-up, the team mix-ups even. New faces, new teams, new builds. It was just, it was cool.
Yes. And light weld side.
We can't get into that too much. I haven't finished.
But it's out. Spencer Harrington.
Oh yeah.
With the win, Team FBI. Walker Henderson second. Skylar Hopkins third. So when you take 3 of your guys that won the Limited Weld Championship at Blizzard Bash in 2024.
Bring it 1, 2, and
3. They were driving as a team, but not driving as a team.
Right.
There wasn't holding. There wasn't none of that bullshit.
They knew where each other was.
Bingo. Promise you. They stuck together like fucking glue. Smart.
Because I did get to see some of the highlights. They never really separated. They were at all ends of the track, but never really.
Mm-hmm. They were at each end of the track together.
Yes.
How I guess you would put that.
Well, and then, like I said, let's touch on this pretty quick because we got to do some drawing here in just a minute.
We do.
Let's touch on the single, the street stock.
I didn't get to watch that part. Oh. You did, so let's get it.
No, we'll just say that. I didn't want to dig too hard into the other. So
compact guys, Holy shit.
They wanted us to come out there, too.
They did. They did. And, I mean, that's just those guys. You know, when you've got a Kyle Wordenhausen, a Derek Wordenhausen, and a Cody Bedsworth. And that is when we had Mr. Pimp City on a few weeks ago. You know, Cody gave, here, Seth, run my car. No problem. They were sneaky fuckers is what they was. And then the next thing, I get a Snapchat of Cody in a truck with Derek Dudley's car on the back.
Run the roof sign. Run the Big D.
Roof sign. Seth did the same thing. Seth run the 728, just like, you know, on Cody's car. They didn't change nothing. Went out there and sent it. Oh, my God.
What kind of message does that send as far as build style? And the driver that can adapt to somebody else's build.
Correct. We saw Big D last summer do a lot of stuff in Blake Holtz's car. Okay? But then Cody can turn around and get in Big D's car and fare really well. Seth got in Cody's car, had I think the starter said fuck it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't a starter, now you're talking 3-4 guys beating the shit out of each other at a national level. So that's, I'm going to throw this out here. They were told, don't bring those cars back. I didn't get told who told them that. So they're already looking for in 2026.
Are they going to outlaw
W
bodies now?
I had a feeling you were going to go there. Very, very well could, I guess. No more W bodies. You can only run Camrys and Avalons
And Porsche.
The Porsche didn't hold up any better than the Fiero.
At least they're putting these cars where they need to be. They're putting these old junky-ass Porsches in the junkyard where they need to be. And it's cool to see the Johnson guys doing that.
Yeah.
You know, crash test dummies. They are weeding through the cars that you should or should not build.
That's 2 years in a row. I probably wouldn't build either one of those again.
No. Did it get the wow factor?
It did.
Was it hilarious looking at a Porsche out there with a full fucking cradle on it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And then, but that's that thing we've talked about before. That's kind of that wow factor to the point of we saw the diesel.
Yes.
In a car. We saw the twin turbo in a duo extreme car. That's that. Holy shit! They just do that.
Well, if I can't win, I'm going to make the highlight reel.
I'm going to do some cool shit, but it's not going away. The show's not going away. We've got Madison, Wisconsin coming up. We've got Wicked Team Show coming up.
Yeah.
Oh. We Crash TV for Madison, Wisconsin. That'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of March. I believe it starts on the 19th. That same weekend, Friday and Saturday, is the Wicked Team Show. Teams are stacked. We've already talked about it. We've talked about not shit talking, calling them out, and dudes not backing down.
Right.
Not backing down. No, bring it. Come on with it. Every one of them said, get you some. But what's cool is there's dudes like betting and shit on the sides.
Yeah.
that's that cool part. You know, that's
that entertainment factor, boy.
Yes.
That is that mainstream shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's some other sports that I would like to see some shit like that. You know, football.
Mm-hmm. Let's meet in the middle.
Yeah.
You think you're the baddest dude on your team? I think I'm the baddest dude on my team. Best 2 out of 3. Give me the ball. You take me down.
Yeah.
You get the ball next time.
So it's cool to see that shit, you know, because we see it in drag racing.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's call-outs are like the ultimate test of your fucking masculinity.
Do you got balls big enough to fit in a dump truck?
Yeah. Or are you a pussy?
Or are they still in your old lady's purse?
Right.
That's what's cool.
Now, does it make a huge deciding factor in the outcome of the show?
Yeah. Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. And then who's got the nuts to fix their shit?
Well,
after they got dog walked.
You take 5 heats of people, of call-outs, that might have drawn a weaker team.
Mm-hmm.
It completely changes the dynamic of the show.
Yep. But that show down there, in that class, there is no weak teams.
Right.
There's some teams that we don't know about.
Right.
But that's the same way with Louisville, Kentucky. Those dudes there that were bad dudes, but we didn't know them.
Right.
We found out.
Right.
So these guys down there, they're going to find out.
That was another thing that we didn't touch on too hard. And like I said, I'm sure we'll end up coming back to stuff at Louisville because we were there. But we got to meet some people that we had never seen before. And it was definitely eye-opening in that region. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there was names that I'm ready to start honing in on a little bit, watching for that roof sign. Because they run other stuff that we haven't really touched on.
Correct.
So I think that is going to open up some new doors for us as far as some drivers that we need to watch out for.
I think the problem with that is because other than our local stuff around here, really that is the only local shit that we go to. We're not going to Kentucky to go watch a local show.
Right.
We're going to Kentucky for a national level event, so these guys are so much on the local side. That's as big as they want to get. Right. But hey, Louisville's just an hour and a half from me.
Well, there's several guys that were like, hey, let's get this shit over with so I can load my car and head to the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're like, can we trade? So it's hard to catch those guys because that very well could be the only national level. When I say national level in quotations, that's the only time we're going to see them.
Right.
But they're 1,400 homies at their local track for their hometown.
That they've been a big
They know
deal
exactly he's a bad motherfucker.
Right. And we got to hear that chatter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the minion that was sitting in front of us there that was causing a little bit of issues. You could tell who he was rooting for.
Yeah. Problem was it was a mower dude. First.
Biggest fucking minion I've ever seen in my life.
He's talking yellow hoodie, bib overalls, and this old boy in front of us. He would not sit down. And the guys to our left were kind of little short fellers, so they couldn't see real well when this old boy stood up. And that's when I said Steven almost became a menace. Because Steven usually doesn't hold back. And I was like, yep, we're going to fucking jail in Kentucky, dudes. But
it was the blatant disrespect for me.
I'll sit down when there's action. Shut your face, dude.
Something like that.
No, that's not what you said.
But anyway, I feel like that's probably a good place to end this one on.
Yep.
A whole bunch of shit coming up. I want to thank Robbie, Andrew, Tix, Fatty,
Alex Vasco,
all them guys.
Yep.
Chris.
Yep. And we've got a little confirmation. We are going to get Chris on.
Yep.
Pick his brain, how his brain works when it comes to that dirt stuff. We almost got it done in Kentucky. We were about an hour too late. Because we're not going to lie. We're always transparent with you guys. Our very intention is I hold every piece of equipment we have. To work with me, loaded it in your pickup. Because we were actually going to do some in the hotel.
Right.
We got down there late on Friday. A lot of guys were already in bed. Then worked on Saturday, and then we had to book Sunday morning because some asshole had to go to work Sunday night instead of Monday night, what he has been doing, and he gets that phone call on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, you got to hear that.
I did on the way down there.
I was like,
hey, you got to work Sunday night. God damn it. Okay, that changes plans. But guys, Madison, Wisconsin. Wicked Team Show. Spring X. Cornhusker Chaos.
That's
That's in the next month. 4 national level shows in 1 month.
Yep.
Woo!
We'll see you on the other side.
Got any last words? Make junk, boys.
Fisher built. Fuel tanks are the next generation of fuel tanks on the Demolition Derby parts market to date. With stainless steel construction, every tank is internally welded, braced, baffled, and pressure tested, with 2 standard size options available.
Fisher built tanks have you covered. From your local county fair shows all the way to your national level events, where you need maximum fuel capacity and structural integrity to get you to the end. If you are in need of a next level design tank, or you just need a second fuel tank for your new setup, give Fisher Built a chance to earn your business. You won't be disappointed.